Do you think, Ambassador Aizaz Saab, any difference between Iran and Venezuela? So both countries are oil producing countries. The way the US action was carried out in Venezuela.
Well, in certain respects, they are similar, but in certain respects, they are different. Let me explain. When it comes to violating the sovereignty and territorial integrity, I think that applies on both countries. The US has violated the sovereignty of Venezuela and wants to do the same in case of Iran. You also see the same sort of China factor, which is also a common element, because Ukraine was selling oil to China, and China is also a good friend of Iran. So US would like to block all kinds of oil exports to China so that China's manufacturing machine is hurt or goes down. So to that extent, it is similar. But this is two very different situations. Venezuela is in the Western Hemisphere. And Iran is in the Middle East. And Western Hemisphere is something that the US has always been very jealous about. Even in the national security strategy that was announced last month in December, it was mentioned that US will be engaging more, directly in the Western Hemisphere. But at the global level, US will engage selectively. That means that in case of Middle East, say for Israel or against Iran, the Americans can act in a certain measured way. But when it comes to Western Hemisphere and America and China and Russia making inroads into Western Hemisphere is not acceptable to the US. It is not according to law. International law provides space for every country to engage with every other country. But as you know, these days in the world order has been sort of dismantled or is dismantling, and international law is no longer being respected. And therefore, the US has announced on its own a unilateral measure that Western Hemisphere is its priority area, and the rest of the world is not that high a priority. So that is a very big difference between these two situations.